Welcome back to another episode of the Chats with Clark podcast. I'm your host, Joe Clark, and here at Chats with Clark, we don't do poppy intros. We get straight to the point, and the point of today's episode 61, is Cam Trudell. Cam, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Just a brief intro here. He's the Vice President of the NACDA, which is the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. He's a former linebacker of Walsh University, where you amassed an impressive 89 tackles in a season. I mean, that's, for reference, that would put you 7th right now if you were playing this season in all of the NCAA football. Yeah. He deservedly was a 2024 inductee into the Walsh University Hall of Fame. He's a husband and a father of 3. Just a quick question for you, Cam. Yeah. What is the best thing that there is to know about you?
Best thing to know about me, I'm just a dad, man. I'm just a dad's dad. That's the best thing I've ever done in my life. Marrying my wife, obviously, is actually number one, but us together, seeing her be a mom, right? Me getting to be a dad to my 3. I've got a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, both boys, and I got a 1-year-old baby girl. And it's the best thing in the world that I've ever done, right? So the intro is great. That stuff is cool, right? The professional past life stuff, whatever. But being a dad is the best thing in the world, man. So that's me, man. Dad's dad. Yeah.
You lived that out too. I mean, I knew that I couldn't give the intro, Cam, without a husband and a father of 3.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Those had to go. And
my wife will too.
Yeah, right. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something so lofty, right? I mean, to be a husband, it's such a task, and to be a father of 3 is such a task. Oh, yeah. Did you know that you always wanted that in your life?
Yeah, man. It sounds crazy, but probably back in high school, right? Like I had an amazing father growing up. I lost my father in 2013, so I was 20, about to turn 21. But I knew back in high school, right? Like my dad was my guy, right? So role model, just everything. I grew up, I have 4 sisters, 1 younger brother, right? So we had a full house. My parents were split, but there were always 3 kids in each house. And we certainly felt the love from both sides. But I knew that one day I wanted that for myself, right? I don't like the quiet, right? I like to wrestle around and do all that crazy stuff that the boys like to do, and the girl actually likes to do as well. So I knew pretty early on that I wanted to be a dad and wanted to be a husband and that sort of thing, man. And as crazy as come to fruition, I look back now, it's actually insane that we're in it, right? So, yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I knew pretty early on that was what I wanted.
It's beautiful. Yeah. When you look back at that first day when you're like, all right, I'm a dad, like if there's that moment when you're driving to the hospital and you're like, I'm about to be a dad for the first time. Yep. What was that like for you?
Yeah, the real answer. So driving to the hospital, you're right. You're kind of panicked because your wife is having contractions, right? We got to get there, especially the first time. It's the first time you've ever done this. So we get there and there are doctors and nurses everywhere and they're telling you to do this and do that. And as a dad, you're just kind of like sitting off in the corner like, all right, let me know when you need me, right? Yeah. But the reality set in, right? Once Braxton, my oldest, came out, and it's like, holy cow, like I am a dad, right? Yeah. Now, to be completely honest, that first night, we're in a hospital room and Braxton's in his bassinet, and he wouldn't stop crying. And I'm like, what did we do? Right? There's no shock to the system like that shock to the system. But the reality set in, like you said, probably a couple weeks before it was all really actually going to happen. They're like, yeah, like your due date is approaching. And then it starts to set in, and then you hold that baby, man. There's no better feeling in the world. Wow. So, yeah.
Each day, what do you think makes you a great dad? What is it that you bring to the table every day? You're like, you know what, I'm going to give this that makes me a great dad.
Yeah, being present. You can do all the things, right? And we do a lot, right? And I will be the first to say my kids are spoiled, right? But being present, there's nothing like that, right? When your kid is a game, when your kid has something at school, when your kid has a doctor's appointment, right? Just being there makes all the difference in the world. So I try to show up and be present, man. I try to bring the energy every day. We wake up, we listen to crazy music, we dance, all that stuff, man. But just being present, man, you can't replace that.
That's great. Yeah. There's all those videos that are going viral on social media countlessly now that right? It's the kid that's on stage performing and he's so out of beat or whatever with whatever they're doing. And then next thing you know, he sees whoever it is, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, and he's like, he smiles and he's waving or shit, whatever.
Man.
The kid's waving. It's like, you're right. That present
absolutely.
nature is so pivotal, right? There's something about actually seeing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cam, to back you up a little bit, we're kind of going to walk through, I just want to walk through your life, what you've done, and kind of here we are now, right?
Yep.
You're from Columbus, Ohio, and you've played football your whole life. Was it about the game that you particularly loved? And how was it that you were able to be so successful at it?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So as you mentioned, born and raised in Columbus, I used to play for an organization called the Eastern Vikings. I started playing tackle football when I was 5 years old. My dad was one of my coaches, Coach Buddy, my dad's best friend. They coached, I'm not exaggerating, any great athlete that has ever come out of Columbus and played Little League football, my dad is probably coached, right? So you think of like the Roosevelt Nixes who started and was a captain for Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Le'Veon Bells, and there's a bunch of guys who I played with who they coached. But man, just the camaraderie, right? Even from a young age, being 5 years old and being around this group of individuals. Now at the time, you're not really worried about a common goal and whatever else. You're just out there like, we all got pads on. This is great, right? Yeah. And I'm about to run you over, right? So the competition and the camaraderie, you can't beat it, man. And that sort of caught me from a young age. But just being out there and being part of something that was bigger than me. So it has to be that. And again, man, I go back to my dad, man, just being that foundation. He was there, right? So being able to have that time with him, whether it was in the car on the way to the field, whether it was at practice, whether it was after practice, headed back home in the car, it was us, right? My sisters, they were cheerleaders and did all this stuff, right? But my dad always coached me, right? So we always, whether it was 10 minutes, 20, whatever, right? We always had that time together to sort of bond and do whatever. So yeah.
Do you think that it was him that really made it so special for you? Or do you think you would have found that outside of him?
Yeah, I think I'd have found it regardless. He definitely played a big part of it.
Sure.
Huge role, right? Which is why I coach my kid now, right? And we'll coach all of them if they want to do stuff. But he definitely played a pivotal role in that. But honestly, with the camaraderie piece, I'd have found it regardless. And the crazy thing is that same feeling, that camaraderie, I felt that when I was 5. It's the same feeling I felt when I was 21, right? Playing at the collegiate level. It's the same feeling, man. It's like a drug, right? Like it draws you in and there's nothing like it. So
to recognize that, I think at such a young age is really impressive. A lot of times, right, like the youth is spent on the young. So you don't know what you're experiencing that time with your dad, that young camaraderie at a young age where you're building all these really great relationships that form you and form your work ethic and then your drive. So to have that wisdom is, I think, almost a godsend there, Cam.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Now, you were an All-Ohioan.
Yep.
What allowed you to be so great? What was it about you and your drive and, again, that work ethic that made you stand out?
Yeah, man. To be quite honest, from a physical standpoint, I wasn't the fastest, right? I was probably one of the strongest, but we're playing football, so that doesn't really matter. It's a mindset thing, man. I'm like, hey, I'm going to I'll be honest, like, I didn't outwork anybody, right? I worked just as hard as the others, but I didn't outwork anybody. It was just a mindset thing, man. Like, I'm going to be better than you, right? I'm going to be the better person. I'm going to win, right? In between whatever sport it was, football, wrestling, baseball, you name it, it was always that, right? Like, you're going to throw me this pitch. I'm going to hit this ball, right? Yeah. So it's that self-will. And then, right, you've got some natural stuff on the football field, right, that sort of, right, if you have the ability to read a offense while it's happening in real time, you can slow down the game. It's kind of like a superpower that I tell people all the time, right? My ability to just break things down while they're happening and get to where I need to be. Certainly that's a God-given sort of thing that not everybody has. But I think more than anything, it was just that will to want to be better. So
one thing I love about football, Cam, that always intrigued me is you physically get knocked down. I mean, truly, like you get run. I don't know how these players take these hits, right? I'm a smaller guy. I can't imagine what it's like to take those hits.
Absolutely.
But they always get back up. And I think that that's something so tangible that we can all take from football.
Absolutely.
You mentioned reading an offense.
Yep.
How have you applied both being able to get back up and then being able to read situations and break them down into your life after football?
That's a phenomenal question. Literally the stress, right? Like people handle stress different ways. And I've got buddies, we talk about this all the time, man. Just handling that stress. How are you, right? In football, you get knocked down every single play.
Yeah.
And you've got to get back up every single play or else you can't play, right? So when things happen in life, right, whether it's something with you personally or something that's happening from a distance or a kid or whatever, right, we've got to take whatever it is, and we've got to be able to say, okay, right, how do we get back up from this? How do we make this work? How do we figure out? And I like to say, don't cry over spilled milk. My wife doesn't like when I say that, but like that's just right. Like here's the hand of cards that we were dealt, right? We've got to play these cards, right? So football, man, for that purpose and for so many other purposes, just the game of football, man, and sports in general, they teach you so much about life, right? But I think that sports, any sport, and especially football, I think they teach you so much. We talked about getting knocked down and getting back up, right? All those things that a great employer or an employer is going to look for in a great worker bee, right?
Cam, you familiar with the Kenny Chesney song, "The Boys of Fall"? By
Yep.
chance, yeah.
Yep.
It always makes me think of that too, right? That football song, just the camaraderie, and that's. The setting of that song is like the first time you're going out there for practice, right? It's like, all right, we're back. It's football season. You hear you smell the fresh cut grass, kind of thing. Yeah,
that's a real thing, man. The feeling that you get, right? The freaking adrenaline rush you get from smelling that fresh cut grass, from feeling that fall breeze in the air, like that's a very real thing, man. So absolutely,
100%. Yeah. Unfair question to you, and I kind of feel like Patrick bet David here, but did you ever want to play pro? Did you ever think about going pro?
Yeah, man, good question. So a lot of things I'm going to refer back to my dad. So when I was a junior, it was my junior year, during the football season, we're pulling into Findlay, and it was our last away game of the season. And I get a phone call from my dad, last time we ever spoke. Right, he was going into open heart surgery, that whole thing. My whole football foundation, everything was, right, my dad was always a part of that. I had a whole nother full season of football to play after that. But I don't know, man, at the time, my passion and my will to want to keep going, it just kind of flamed out. And not necessarily due to that. I think that was a big part of it. Because my junior, senior year, like we had guys at Walsh that were really good, right? We had folks who transferred from Michigan and wherever else, like that were really good. So we had pro scouts at like every practice. And the opportunity to go and compete and try to make a roster was certainly there. But, I'm thankful, right? You can find a silver lining or find the good in everything, right? Sure, losing my father, that's huge impact on me. But the good in that was, hey, right, I have to grow up now, right? Like I've got to start paying these bills that belong to me that my dad took care of, and I've got to start doing X, Y, Z. And one of the last things he said to me was make sure you take care of your brother and sister, right? Brother and sisters. So looking after them, man, and it was just a lot, right, that hit me sort of at once. So it kind of zapped that will to want to go and compete and try to make a roster. Could I have, from a connection standpoint? Absolutely, right? Talent standpoint, maybe, right? Who knows? But I was completely comfortable and still am completely comfortable with the decision to just be done when I was done. And fortunate enough, man, I had some awesome people around me who kind of set me on the path that I'm on today. So
yeah, wow, you had it all kind of climaxing at the same time.
Yep.
That's so much shift, so much change in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
From major things close to you.
Yep.
Yep. After your football career, Cam, what made you want to stay in the collegiate athletic space?
Yeah, man, great question. So again, this is my senior year, and quite honestly, I'm on my laptop in my bedroom. I'm like, what am I going to do in my life, right? Like, I graduate here in like 6 weeks. I have no clue what I want to do, right? I changed my major a couple of times. I thought I wanted to be like a sports writer or something. Like, I don't really like to write, but right, this is where I'm at. I guess I'll do it. Man, I just started looking at some different stuff and thinking about my life moving forward. And I'm like, why wouldn't I find something to do in sport? And I start Googling stuff, man. And sure enough, I Googled high school athletic director. I had the most phenomenal high school athletic director in the world. And I'm going to send this to him whenever it's ready. But guy by the name of Tony Tucker, and he probably doesn't even know this, but man, I would watch him like right whenever, right? I see him coming in the building. He'd be in his office. He'd be doing his thing, man. He took care of us, built relationships, and certainly had a phenomenal group of coaches, guys who, right, they're all invited to my wedding, like awesome men that we had in our lives to be role models. But my AD in particular, I mean, man, he gets to be in the school, like with the athletes. He's on the sidelines. What does he actually do? So when I was about to graduate from from college, literally Google like high school athletic director, right? Full transparency. What is their salary, right? I'm like looking at the stuff, trying to figure out if that's what I wanted to do. And sure enough, I'm like, this sounds awesome. Like this makes so much sense for me to just stay in it, right? Again, I'm around this. I've been around it my whole life. So it's not new. I don't necessarily need to learn new things, right? It's just how do I go to do that? So I thought I wanted to be a high school AD. So went to grad school, University of Akron, got my master's in sport administration. And then while I was doing that, I spent a few weekends driving back and forth to my alma mater to like help with some stuff on Friday nights. Graduated with my master's, actually worked at the Y for a quick stint as a sport director. Got an opportunity to go to Olentangy Orange down in Columbus to be like an assistant AD.
It's a powerhouse.
Yeah, is certainly a powerhouse. Assistant AD and a football coach, right? So I'm coaching linebackers. It's great. Long story short, I met a gentleman by the name of TJ Shelton. He's the athletic director at Case Western now, but his son played at Olentangy Orange. TJ lived in Columbus at the time because he was the senior associate AD at Ohio State. He was there for a number of years. We got connected. He is my guy to this day. I'll call TJ and lean on him for advice, and we'll go grab lunch, and just a phenomenal, phenomenal dude. TJ got me hip to the college space. I'm like, this is it, right? This is what I want to do. And man, ever since then, I've just kind of been on this path. Some would call it the quick track because I've been fortunate and landed in some spots where I've just been in the right place at the right time. But I've been on this track to kind of where I am now, just based on a relationship built with TJ and some of the things that are sort of culminating at that time. So
yeah. From Tony to TJ to all of the coaches in your high school realm, it's amazing to me how it's always the people, you know, it's always the great people that inspire you, that instill some sort of goodness in you and something that makes you want more of what they are. And I think we emulate certain aspects of each person that we meet that we admire.
Absolutely.
And try to not emulate that from people we don't, but regardless. So what is it about those people that you thought I could take this and really turn it into my own and add my own flair and be what they are, but Cam's version?
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, it comes down to just being a phenomenal role model, right? Like the job is the job. And I'll refer back to Tuck real quick. So Tony Tucker, so he's been at Ohio State for probably 6 or so years now, but he works with the football team. He's an assistant or associate AD of whatever his title is. But he essentially is a role model for their football team, right? Now he helps them in their life after sport and what they're doing now outside of the field and that sort of thing. But that speaks volumes to the man that he is and the role model that he is and was, right? But it's essentially, hey, I want to be a role model, right, to young folks, and I want to help folks to achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve, and then putting my spin on it is just being me, right? So I got to show up and be myself. Again, I'm a younger guy for the things that I've been able to do, right? So being able to be that young guy and that voice in the room, right, and continuing to just be me, right, is just, hey, this is my flair, right? This is Cam from Columbus, from the inner city, right? Like a lot of folks you will hear say, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, I don't believe in that, right? But statistics say, like, guys that come from my background don't end up where I am currently, right? So being able to bring that to the table, man, and have real conversations with student athletes, it's you can't put a price on that, man. It's invaluable. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to bring this up later, but I feel like it's so fitting right now. One of the hashtags that you always use in reference is raising role models.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it that phrase means to you, and why do you kind of pride yourself on it?
That's everything, man. When I take my little dudes to school and to daycare, I ask them every single day, right? Are we going to lead, right? Are we ready to be leaders today? What do leaders do, right? And they'll say leaders lead, right? Where do leaders lead from? Leaders lead from wherever, right? Whether you're in the front of the line, the back of the line, it doesn't matter. Leaders lead. That's so important to me, man, because just our world, right? Like, we need more role models, right? We've got a lot of, and I don't want to, we live in a world where we've got social media, right? And we've got whatever, and it's easy to just kind of fall in line, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we've lost sight a little bit in our society with just, hey, what are we doing at home to prepare these kids for whatever is next, right? Because these kids have access to so much, right? It's phenomenal, but at the same time, it can be detrimental, right? So how are we continuing to raise them at home to make sure that they're ready to go out into society to be great human beings, right? Raising our young boys to go be great men, right? Hold doors open for whoever, right? Like, go help, right? You see somebody down, go help them up, right? We got to make sure we're continuing to do that, right? Because we don't want to lose sight of who we are right? We are the best freaking nation on earth, right? And if we want to remain that, we got to continue to do so at home, right? So I'm a huge proponent, man, and my friends as well, just like making sure we're raising our kids the right way, right? Because that's where it all starts. If there's an issue or whatever in the world, right? Like it all starts at home, right? What kind of human being are you, right? At the end of the day, that's all we are. We're all human beings, right? So let's continue to raise good human beings, right? So that's kind of where the raising role model stems from. And I need to get that thing put on a shirt or something. But.
It's so good. It's so good. And Cam, your whole life, you've never just fallen in line, to use the phrase that you used, right? I mean, you just mentioned the statistic background, or statistics that from your background, you shouldn't be where you are. Again, to use the phrase that you don't like, and I agree with you. Same thing on the football field. You're like, my mindset was going to make me great. I'm not just going to fall in line and be another one of the guys.
Absolutely.
And when I asked you about being pro, you're like, I could have made it. So consistently instilling that is you being a role model, and you've lived that your whole life. So who better to do that than you and to embody that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate that.
No, 100%. Cam, your work now is with the administrative side of things, yes? So you joined in 2023, the NACDA. And how were you able to dive in as the vice president kind of right off the bat? Because it seems, maybe to your point, that at your age, you expedited the process, if you will.
Good question. So it was funny how it all sort of came to fruition, man. And I give all the credit in the world to my boss, our CEO. He's a phenomenal person. And I'll backtrack. So prior to NACDA, I got my career started at my alma mater, so Walsh University. I was there. I was the compliance guy. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like, I get to work at my institution where I was a student athlete. I was doing compliance. Nobody likes compliance, but I was doing compliance. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to own this and I'm going to crush it, right? And one day I'm going to be the AD here, right? That was my mindset. Very first job. Ended up getting the opportunity to go to Butler. So I was at Butler. We lived in Indianapolis for a little over 3 years. Got to be the assistant AD there for compliance and academics. At the end of my tenure at Butler, it sort of COVID happened, right? So it sort of morphed into, hey, we had to, unfortunately, let some folks go, right? So it morphed into me being able to take on more, right? And have more responsibilities while I was there, which then led to an opportunity to go be associate commissioner at the GLIAC, right? So again, I say right place, right time. COVID was very unfortunate and, right, would never want folks losing jobs and whatever else. I was just in the right place at the right time, right? The GLIAC, they had my predecessor before I got there. She had an opportunity to go and be the commissioner of another conference. I was a former GLIAC student athlete, right? Walsh was in the GLIAC at the time.
Let's give a little GLIAC, Greater Lakes.
Yep. So Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletics Conference, easily the most dominant Division II conference in the country. There's a little bias there, but there's also a whole lot of truth to that. So like all the state schools in Michigan, right? And then some schools in Indiana and wherever else. So it got to be the associate commissioner because they needed somebody to come in who had a compliance background and who knew football. So I just happened to fall into it, right? Loved my opportunity there. Again, had a wonderful leader, Chris Dunbar. She's phenomenal. Got to work with Chris for a little over 3 awesome years. And then the NACDA thing, it just kind of fell into my lap. NACDA was in the process of developing this new position, right? Somebody to kind of work with the associations that I manage. And we were on a call, so I'm working with the GLIAC. We're on a call that folks from NACDA are on, and it turned into, I talked to the AD, I forget where he was at, but he's like, have you ever been to NACDA? And I'm like, no. He's like, they're in Cleveland, right? I'm like, I had no clue NACDA was headquartered in Cleveland. So we're in Westlake. So he connected me with a guy at NACDA, Jason Glasgow, legend. And Jay's like, oh yeah, we got to have you come check out the space, right? That's what people do. So if you work in athletics and you're in the area, you go check out NACDA. This is how it happens. It just so happened that when I went, they were in the process of developing this new position. I had no clue. So I went, I'm like, this place is awesome. This looks like the Heisman House. Like, this is cool. Like, the staff is great. We ended up connecting, man, probably a week later. And I ended up getting offered this awesome opportunity. And again, Pat and the trust that he put in me to be able to step into this role and the whole VP title, whatever else, right? I'm certainly fortunate for that. But again, man, it all just kind of, everything happens for a reason, right? Or you can find reason in anything. And again, man, I've just been lucky and fortunate and blessed to fall into some situations at the right time. So,
how much are you working with athletes versus maybe the people coaching them and the administrative side of things?
Yep, good question. So at NACDA, we focus on the administrators, right? We're essentially teaching the teachers. So I think everybody or most people on our staff have worked on campus or in a conference office at some point for the NCAA, you name it. And we've had folks who were like on campus for years, right? We work directly with the athletic directors at every single school in the country and anybody else who works in athletics in the country, right? So we create these environments to where the conversations range from the smallest of things, which is, hey, this is a piece of legislation for the NAIA, right, that we need to have a conversation about, to, hey, there's this thing coming down the pipe that we need to figure out called NIL, right? Like, how do we resolve that? How do we move forward? So we literally run the gamut, right? And it's the John Carrolls and it's the Ohio States and Alabamas, right? Everybody is a part of this thing. So NACDA's phenomenal. We don't get a whole lot of touch points with the student athletes, which is certainly different from where I've been prior to. But essentially, again, I think the best way to put it is we're just creating a space and we're training the trainers, essentially. So whatever you're seeing at these institutions and these athletic directors are doing at these institutions, part of that all stems from NACDA. So
yeah, you're raising the role models.
Absolutely.
It's right there too.
There you go.
Yeah,
it seems I gotta remember that.
So fitting. It seems so fitting.
Yep.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing in college athletics? Are there certain sports that you're noticing are on the rise and maybe some on the decline? What are some of the trends that you're noticing in present day athletics?
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, you mentioned decline. And right now we're living in a world to where our Olympic sports, right, there's potential that some Olympic sports could be cut and go away. And it has happened due to the world we're living in with rev share and NIL, right? So it's phenomenal that our student athletes get to make a piece of that pie now, right? We actually get to give them real paychecks, right? Back when I was a student athlete, back when I started working on campus, like, you couldn't use your name, image, and likeness for any kind of money, right? Like, you couldn't get on Twitter and say, hey, Domino's Pizza is the best pizza in the world. Come to the Domino's on whatever street, right, in the Domino's sale. Thank you so much. Since you did that and you have a big following, here's a paycheck. You couldn't do that. Now these kids are able to do that, which is phenomenal. Now we're to the point where we're actually giving paychecks to the kids and they're getting a share of the pie, which is also awesome. One of the casualties or potential casualties is that our Olympic sports, like football, basketball, the money is astronomical. You look at the Olympic sports, like whatever, you name it, and that same money isn't there. So like if let's say I'm Ohio State, and the NCAA says now that I can split up this piece of pie, so I have up to $20 million that I can go and give to every student athlete, right? It's got to be equitable, and I got to figure that whole piece out. Well, somebody's going to get left out, right? So some of the Olympic sports are starting to kind of die, or they're a casualty. Not necessarily at Ohio State, that's probably a bad example. But that's a piece of it. Now, with that being said, there are some sports, and schools will figure it out, right? We will figure it out. That's what I love about working in this industry, is I get to be part of the solution, right? A lot of folks, you hear the media and everything, I'm not critiquing the media, but they see they see college athletics and they just see a glaring problem, right? Well, I love being a part of hey, how do we fix the problem, right? Like, what are our opportunities to go and make a change so that we can continue to sustain moving forward?
All the people you study in history were either the people that created the problem or the people that fixed it.
Correct. So we need fixers, right? And I love being able to say, hey, I'm a fixer, right? So with that being said, some of the sports on the rise, right? You mentioned that women's flag football is growing in popularity like freaking crazy, and it's awesome. At the high school 59. Level, absolutely, right? High school level, like it's growing unbelievably. Women's wrestling is booming right now as well. Stunt is kind of like cheers / gymnastics. It's called stunt. So there are all these female sports right now that are just taking off. There's another sport I don't love, just bias. It's called sprint football. And you have to weigh less than, I don't want to butcher this, you have to weigh less than a weight that I would have played at in order to play sprint football, which is where my bias comes in. I don't like it because I wouldn't have been able to play. But sprint football is another sport that was on the rise there for a bit. Football is going to be football, basketball is going to be basketball. So that's kind of where the trends are currently. But again, we live in this world where a lot of it is circled around NIL and money, and whether that's a good or a bad thing is always going to be up for debate. So
yeah. What would you say is one misconception about NILs?
Yeah, man, I think that there's a big group of folks who think it's just the worst thing in the world that we're giving student athletes money. I could see why they think that way, but I don't think that that's necessarily true, right? And that's not I was a student athlete, right? It would have been great if I was getting a paycheck, right? But from a name, image, likeness standpoint, we live in a world or a society, a country, right? Capitalism is huge, right? So if I was never okay with telling a student athlete, you could not go and make money from your own name, image, and likeness. So you can't take that away from somebody, right?
Right.
Like that would be like me saying, hey, Joe, this is great. You can never get paid for chats with Clark, right? Because you can't, because you're a student athlete here at this school, right? That just didn't sit well with me. But now they can do that, which is huge, right? A lot of people think it's just, hey, these kids don't deserve this money. They're getting a free scholarship, yada, yada, yada. And again, I can see both sides of it. But I do think that the actual NIL piece of it, there's a misconception there because we never should have been telling kids they couldn't get paid from their own name, image, and likeness, right? So
it's kind of ironic to me because this school gets paid.
Yep.
Ohio State football is what it is in part because of Jeremiah Smith, for example, right? Like people tune in every week to watch him make crazy catches and to just bully dudes on the field. Absolutely. So it's kind of ironic to then say, yeah, you can't do anything about it, Jeremiah.
Insane, right? You can't go and do this deal with Nike or whomever because you're really, really good, but I'm sorry, right? Like that just blows my mind. So I'm happy that we're over that hump, right? We're beyond that. Again, we got other issues that we need to figure out and get through now. But I do think that that's a misconception that folks may not completely understand with the actual NIL piece of it, that I hope changes moving forward. So
I'm excited to see the contrast of these college players making more in college than they would if they were to go to the league. Yeah. That's going to be an interesting factor, I think, down the line. Because you're starting to see that already at some of these bigger schools that have the capability of paying them at that level.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Oh, that's huge, right? If I'm a senior and I got an opportunity to go and play in the NFL, right, or the NBA, but now my school can pay me, right? One, you're going to keep that kid and they're actually going to finish their degree, which is fantastic, right? But two, right, now we've got these teams who are able to keep these kids. Now the transfer portal is another thing. But you're able to keep kids on your roster longer, right? And you're able to sustain a product a little longer if, of course, you can keep up from a financial standpoint. But I think that that's fantastic, man, for both the institutions and for the student athletes and for the fans, right? So, yeah.
It'll be interesting if, like in 2010, the Duke basketball teams, those early 2010s, they were just like a dynasty. I mean, I think you could see some of that too if you can retain people, again, like you said, from the financial standpoint. You can have teams that are not just one good year and out the door. Now you could actually build a team for a little bit of time.
Look at your guy, Signetti at Indiana, right? He was able to keep those kids from James Madison, bring them with him to Indiana, keep them from going to the league, keep them at Indiana, and now they're number 2 in the country, right? I mean, that's exactly how it works. Championship teams usually have some upperclassmen, some juniors, some seniors that have been around the program. They know the X's and O's, but they know everything else, and they got this thing figured out. And that's how you keep that thing running, man. So absolutely, I think it's a great thing.
Cam, what's the end game for NACDA and you and your role in all of it in college athletics?
Yeah, I think NACDA will be around forever because we provide what is needed to the industry, right? And again, that's to continue to educate the educators, essentially, right? So NACDA isn't going anywhere, and NACDA will continue to play that role. That could be the end-all, be-all for NACDA as far as what we want to do forever, and we would be just fine, right? Now, I think we're starting to venture off into some, hey, we want to tell our story a bit more and, right, listen to our membership a bit more. Like, what do they want? What do they want to see us do? But at the end of the day, man, we're here to provide that education. We're here to continue to make sure that folks have those opportunities and those platforms to be able to get up and do their thing and have those conversations, man, and that's what we do. So we'll do that forever. And NACDA will always be a cornerstone of college athletics.
Yeah. And how about for you specifically?
Yeah. Man, I love NACDA. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, Cam, what do you want to do? Or asked me when I first got in this industry, what do you want to do? I'd have told you quick, like, I want to be a Power 5 AD, and I'm going to be a Power 5 AD. And I felt that way. I mean, I still have the itch a little bit, but we have such a phenomenal staff, a phenomenal group of people at NACDA. Our mission, the things we get to do, the places we get to go, man, like there's not a better job in the world, right? So I'm not going to say the itch is completely gone. I want to get back to being with student athletes every day and changing lives, right? But certainly right now, man, I'm at a good spot, right? The wife's happy, my kids are happy, we're close to family, and we've got a great setup. So the wise man once told me, don't mess up a good thing. So right now we're at a real good spot, man. So
mess up a good thing.
Yeah.
Tom Brady famously answered when that child asked him, hey, who's your hero? And Tom Brady answered, right, my dad, doesn't miss a beat. Seems fitting for the conversation that you and I have had. And I always jot down notes and do a deep dive into the guests beforehand. And that was something I had noted for you. When we look at some inspirations, and you've mentioned several throughout the course of our conversation so far, when we look at inspirations, I think we, again, find traits in that we want to emulate.
Yep.
You've listed some who have influenced you in your life. So I'm going to tailor it opposite. Who are you hoping that you're influencing? Of course, I know you're going to answer your children, but who outside of that are you hoping to influence and to be a mentor for?
Yeah, man. Well, you hit the nail on the head, right? So my kids, of course, but man, anybody I come in contact with, and I'm huge on mentorship, right? Because it's everything. Again, I mentioned TJ Shelton and I mentioned Tony Tucker and Coach Maddox, and having a great role model and somebody who's willing to pour into you is huge, right? So it was everything for me. I got to meet Gene Smith early on, like while I was still in grad school, and I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world. So Gene Smith was the athletic director of Ohio State. He has since retired, but he was the guy, right? Gene was the guy. The College Football Playoff Committee, like he was a former student athlete at Notre Dame. He's a tall dude, so like just stature. I was in awe, like holy cow, like I'm losing my mind, right? Gene is now just a great dude who I could shoot a text to and be like, hey, I hope you're doing well, right? But that comes with working at NACDA. What I'll say is anybody, man, and I'm always willing to go and speak in classes, and whenever I get an opportunity where there's going to be some sort of mentorship, always happy to raise my hand and give back, man, because if I can continue to impact others and their growth, right, and hopefully their way of thinking from hey, if I ever have the opportunity to give back, I'll do it. I'm all about that, man. So whenever I get the opportunity to go and do those things, I raise my hand to do it. And I tell folks all the time when I'm speaking to a class or whatever else, like, hey, I mean this. Like, if you need anything, right, don't hesitate to reach out to me, right? So again, anybody, man, whether younger folks, older folks, whoever it is, right, anybody I come across, man, where I can help to change their lives or change whatever it is, right, in some way, in whatever way I can, that would probably be the answer. So,
mindset's stellar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who has been your favorite person that you've been able to collaborate with? Because I'm sure throughout your time you've gotten to work with some really rocking individuals. Yeah,
that is a great question. I don't want to keep jumping on the Ohio State train, but I'm going to say Ross Bjork, and I've gotten to work with some phenomenal people, not just ADs, right? Assistant ADs, coordinators, whoever else. The reason I say Ross Bjork, so he's the athletic director at Ohio State right now. Before Ohio State, he was at Texas A&M. Before Texas A&M, I think he was at Ole Miss. Before whatever, phenomenal human being, right? So you talk about just like-minded, someone who is passionate about the industry, someone who's passionate about just being a role model and being on the forefront and being a part of something that is the fix, right? And then somebody who's just crazy down to earth. Like, this is the most down to earth, humble human being you will ever meet. If you saw Ross at a Macy's, you would never know he's the athletic director at Ohio State. I mean, he is a really, really good dude. And we bonded a little bit because he also played Division II football, and he was a fullback, and we had that in common, and we kind of hit it off. But he's got to be the answer there.
Wow. Yeah, what a testimony. I mean, I hope that these people, I hope Ross hears this, right?
Yeah,
and knows
absolutely.
Those influences. I just think it's so powerful to know that just by being the person you are can leave such an impact.
Absolutely.
And that air has been rained in this conversation multiple times, and I really do adore that.
Yep.
Outside of college athletics and NACDA and your work, Cam, what fills your time? What are some of the passions that light you up and refuel the fire for you?
Yeah, man. Good question. So again, my kid, obviously kids take up a lot of that time, but more specific, my oldest, he's now at that point to where he's playing sports, right? And it is awesome. It's so awesome to watch. And I'm always raising my hand and volunteering to coach. So he's played football, flag football, he's done basketball, he's done baseball, and I've coached it all. And I freaking love it, right? So I'm right there like, hey, parents, right? I'm gonna send you this long email and draw everything out for you, right? And I take it serious, man. And I'm like, man, I hope I'm not like overbearing, but then I'll ask him like, hey, do you want me to stop coaching? Like, cause you can go do your thing. And he's like, nah, you're gonna coach. And I'm like, all right. So I'll do that as long as he lets me. But just that, man, being with the kids, man, creating those memories, being present, that sort of thing. But away from the kids, man, hoops whenever I can, right? Going to hoop and working out. Love to work out whenever possible. Need to try to hit the gym a little more. But just that, man, and just that, man. And again, I'm raising my hand to be part of whatever, right? So if there's something that, again, if there's an opportunity to go to a game or whatever, or go and again mentor or give back to the community in some kind of capacity, I'm huge on community, right? So actually last week we did a turkey trot at the local high school, which was awesome, man. So any of that stuff where we can be involved there, I'm all for it. So
Cam, there's a closing litany that we have at Chats with Clark.
Yeah.
And it's quick couple of questions that kind of tie in everything that are almost like rapid fire.
Yep.
The first question I have for you is what role gratitude plays in your life? Yep. And my contention is very simple. People who live with gratitude at the forefront of their lives, who practice that mindset, are happier than people who are not. Just point blank. And to that, I ask you, what role does gratitude play in your life?
It's everything, man. I'm again, we're not supposed to be here moniker. I am thankful, man. My mom, and I haven't mentioned my mom yet, but she's a huge figure in my life also. Obviously, she's my mom, right? But I talk to my mom every chance I get. She lives down in Alabama, so she's in SEC country, unfortunately. And the way that she raised us, man, again, my parents were split, and they were so young when they had me and my sisters. And my mom, watching her go through what she went through, man, like I'm just grateful, right, for the opportunity to be able to come from that, right, and make her proud and say, hey, here's where I'm at now, right? So any chance I get to be able to be in a position where I can give back, man, that means everything. So gratitude is everything. Yeah. Isn't
it crazy to see other people's sacrifices, especially our parents? Absolutely. I think as you age, you see how much that, fortunately, people like us who had great active parents, like it's such a blessing.
Big time, man. You don't realize it, like you said, until you start to age and you look back like, wow, right? So I'm so thankful, man, for the folks I had around me, man, and certainly in particular with my parents, when I couldn't ask for better. So,
second question, Cam, do you have any regrets in your life? And if so, what have you learned from them?
Yeah, no regrets, man. I say that all the time, actually. I've got no regrets. Again, I'm thankful for every situation, and I can try to find the positivity and the silver lining in any situation. But I've got zero regrets, man. I think I've been very blessed and fortunate to this point. And you never know how something's going to go one way or the other, right? You can wish you could go back and do something different, and that'll lead to a whole different set of dominoes being tipped over, right? So no regrets, man. I'm just thankful every single day I wake up that I get to do what I do.
Amen.
Yeah.
On that calendar, Cam, what are you looking forward to? I think that it's so important to have things on the calendar that we do look forward to, because I think it gives us a sense of excitement and adds a flair to our life. And it's also something that we've prioritized enough that we've put it on our calendar to make sure that it happens.
Yep. Just short term, long term?
Both. You tell me.
God. Man. People tell you it goes fast, right? Like you hear that when you're in elementary school and they're like, you're going to be in middle school soon. And then you're in middle school and you're going to be in high school, right? And you never stop hearing it. And then you have kids and they're like, it goes fast, right? Those days are long, but those years sure are fast, right? And they are, right? So fast. Saying that to say I don't ever want to rush the time I have with my kids, man. But again, right, my dad, the relationship we had, like we never got to sit at a bar and have a beer, right? Like, so I'm looking forward to the day that me and my little dudes and my little lady can go sit at the bar and have a beer, right? That seems so silly, right? But all the things that come with that along the way, right? So, I mean, you got the graduations and the first boyfriends or the first girlfriends, and just all of those things culminate, right? And then you go sit at a bar and you just reflect. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form, again, trying to rush to get there. But I am looking forward to that day where we can sit down and do that. So
the first of everything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For our audience here too, I can't imagine that first boyfriend for your daughter when they come in and have to meet. If you can't tell our audience, Cam is just built. Cam is a very built dude. So
it's not me, it's her brothers that they will also need to worry about. But
that's true too. There's a couple lines of defense here.
Yeah, there's a reason I stay in the gym. So yeah.
That first handshake's gonna be jolting for that.
I can't wait. I can wait actually.
Yeah, right. Yeah, give it a little bit.
Yeah.
Cam, my final question is, what piece of advice would you offer to either the audience abroad or a specific sector of the audience? Student athletes come to mind, but of course, you take it as you will.
Yeah, man. This is for anybody, man. Again, we go back to raising role models, man. I'd say every single day, one, take time for yourself, right? Make sure you're in a place to where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, all right, I gave it my all today, right? And I was a great person today, right? Before anything else, like, we've got to take care of ourselves, and we've got to go out in the world, and we got to be what we want to see, right? So let's be great people, right? Let's try to do something nice. And I'm not saying go out of your way to be Mr. Nice, but like, let's try to do something nice for somebody, right? And then again, right? If you have an opportunity to pay it forward, it's so fulfilling, right? It's so fulfilling. It's so gratifying. So pay it forward, man, however you can, whatever that looks like, right? That might be as simple as, again, holding the door open for somebody, right? It just makes you feel good. It fills your cup. So live life with gratitude, man. Try to pay it forward whenever you can, and make sure you're taking care of yourself at the end of the day. You can't take care of others if you don't. So
good.
Yeah,
your energy's infectious, Cam. I really appreciate just your authenticity and your drive to be good, because I think you're great.
Yeah,
and of course, our audience is going to dive into that too as they hear this, and like appreciates the energy and the commitment that you have to others, and of course where you are rooted. It's really wonderful, Cam.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our audience, take that and run with it. Let's go be great. Raise role models. Start by raising yourself, right? We have to raise ourselves as role models, and my encouragement for this episode would be to extend that gratitude to the people in your life that have been influential in making you who you are, that have sacrificed for you, that have had your back and push you to be better, because I think those people deserve to hear it too. So shoot them a text, give them a call. That's such an awesome opportunity.
Absolutely.
So.
Yes, sir.
Cam Trudell, ladies and gentlemen, a driving force in college athletics, an absolute specimen of a human being, and an outstanding husband, father, and guy all the way around. This has been episode 61 of Chats with Clark. I will link everything in the description below or in the pinned comment if you are on YouTube. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Joe Clark, signing off.
Thank you.